Assess things. How are things going in Iowa in your mind so far?
Well, things are going well in Iowa because I've been coming to Iowa ever since the latter part of last year. There's a misperception that I haven't been here a lot. Well, we've been here more than people realize. And we measure that in terms of the caucus leaders that we have been recruiting, and we're doing quite well. Secondly, the latest Bloomberg poll shows that I am statistically tied for the lead in Iowa. We're not going to take it for granted because over the next several weeks, as well as in December, we have a concerted effort to spend even more time here in Iowa.
Senator Charles Grassley has talked about that in light of some of the headlines you've had over the last couple of weeks. That's something that could hurt your campaign.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I agree. In fact, we know that it has hurt my campaign some. And quite frankly, some people have convicted me in the court of public opinion based upon accusations that are totally baseless. We can't change that. The good news is more people have stayed on the CAIN train, as we describe it, and that's why we're still in a good position relative to the polls.
What do you make of the Libya clip that circulated all over the place? You can't say that makes you look good.
It doesn't make me look good, but obviously that particular publication was trying to make me look bad. They didn't show you the 95% of the tape during that editorial board that I was immediately understood the question and I answered the question. They didn't show that part. So no, they wanted to make me look bad. Now, when you are being asked a number of questions on different tough subjects simultaneously, and someone comes to something like Libya and asks a question that's not specific enough, I paused. The question was, do you agree with President Obama on Libya? In what respect? Would you clarify? And it wouldn't clarify. I don't shoot from the lip. If I have to pause and gather my thoughts and make sure that the question is specific enough, that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Well, there was some good bit of pausing in that answer, don't you think?
If you'd have been in the room when he asked the question and he refused to get specific with the question, you would have paused exactly the same amount. So I don't regret the pause, because what would have been even worse if I had said something incorrect when you start talking about all of those countries. You got the situation in Egypt. You got the situation in Libya. You got the situation going on in Syria. You got the situation in Yemen. You got all of these different dynamics and moving parts in that part of the world. And the last thing I wanted to do was to use an incorrect reference.
Do you worry then that, whenever you have a guy get in here who hasn't been a member of Congress especially, or maybe a governor who's traveled overseas, when you come in as you do, not doing that sort of thing, do you worry that people then can line up those kind of things and say, yep, I was right, no foreign policy experience, he's not going to know how to talk about that stuff?
You know, you're absolutely right. But the American people are not fly-specking everything and every pause the way some people in the media, with all due respect, are doing. And the American people, they're looking for leadership. They're not looking for someone that's perfect. They're looking for someone who is a problem solver. They're looking for someone who understands what we need to do to get this economy going, what we need to do in order to strengthen our national security, because they believe, and I believe, that it has gotten weaker under this president, and they also understand and respect someone who is putting or going to put a real energy independence strategy on the table. That's what the American people are responding to. They're not responding to a pause after a question.
I saw earlier today you mentioned that you're hoping for top three here.
Yes.
Which historically, it does well to finish in the top three. When Iowans look at you, there's no question you traveled here a lot early. You've been elsewhere a lot these last couple of months, and people get really spoiled here traditionally because
yes.
they're used to seeing you all a lot.
Right.
Do you worry that because you're doing things a little differently, that the people who are used to this kind of conversations more than once, more than twice, over a cycle, aren't going to get that, and they hold that against you come January?
I don't think they will, because my supporters, when they get on the CAIN train, as we say, they don't get off. They have staying power. This is why I'm still doing well. Over the last several weeks, when I was being criticized for not being here as much as other candidates, our numbers still held. Why? People understood that unlike the other candidates, I had to achieve a twofold objective. One, do well in the early primary states. Secondly, get my national name ID up, because I had one of the lowest name IDs as relative to all of the candidates when this started. It's a delicate balance, but we have been able to do that. And many of the people here in Iowa, I think, appreciate the fact that I've also gotten my national name ID up at the same time. We have been here to basically bring my message.
Thanks, sir. All you, my friend.
Thank you.
Can we get you to